So the next question is about speakers. Somebody was asking, they were just going to get into it, and they were wondering what would be a good set of speakers to get into to start. And of course, we could sit here and talk about brands forever, and I don't really want to go there. But the direction I wanted to go is what would you recommend? There's the mini array systems. There's point source systems of a variety of different sizes. If somebody were going to be starting out and they needed to go buy a couple of speakers, what would you kind of recommend that they would go with that's going to get them started for a period of time, or might even be something that they would be able to use for a long time if they're really kind of concerned about their budget? And I think, Dan, we're up to you.
Okay. So if I was just starting out and I was wanting to get my speaker set up, there's one of two directions I would tell you to go. But the first that I would tell you to go is the direction that I picked, which was to pick a pair of tops, full range tops, 12-inch speakers, because they're going to be the most versatile for you in a lot of aspects. It gives you the option that later down the road, when you have some more money, you can add some subs to it. When you're doing bigger events, you then have that extra bass that you need. But in the same respect, when you're starting out, you probably also don't have a large amount of space to haul stuff. They don't take up a lot of space with the 12s. Or 15s, right? Like, my personal opinion is 12s are what 15s were when I started, right? They have a good type of sound to them. But I think that would be the first place I would recommend to anybody is looking at that, because also, if you decide to then later upgrade your system and say go to the column array systems and that kind of thing, you still have these full range cabinets that you can use, cocktail that you can use at a ceremony site, that you can, they're maybe not battery powered, but you can still use them in other places. They're not, well, I'm no longer using them, so now they're out the window. But the one piece that I would give you is, if you can, the adage is buy once, cry once. If you can spend a little bit of extra money to get that better line of that speaker, or the better model of that speaker, the best bang for the buck, take advantage of it and do that, rather than buy here and then, I got to buy again, and now I got to buy again, right? And each time you're like, it's like a gut punch.
Cubby.
How do you know you have me on here? Dan is just killing it. I would, same as Dan, I'd get the 15s. I would do 15s versus 12s, because depending on the events, you can do a little larger events. You can always turn it down. 12s, you can always push 12s. You can only push so hard. So I'd probably stick with 15s until, like I said, and I would, like you said, invest into what you can and do and suck it up, and they'll last you a good 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, honestly,
at least.
Just whatever you do, don't buy the speaker that has got the LED lights on the inside of them. That does not, just don't do that. Whatever
but
you
is
do.
The speaker a light show in one, man?
It's awesome.
Just don't do that one. That's all I ask. I love entry level DJs. I think they're great. I remember when I was one, and I try to help as many as I can. But I would go with the 15s and stay away from the lighted speakers.
So my thought, I'm a huge fan of 12s, but if you're going to look at 12s, there's two things with it. If you're going to be looking at wanting to do like some smaller school dances or expand into that arena a little bit, I think I would probably look at a 12. And I would look at it, if I'm doing a 12, I would do a wooden box. I would not go plastic box. If I were going to be just doing, I'm going to be doing weddings and backyard parties, I'm never really wanting to do anything for the teen world, I'd probably look at 15. Now, if 15 weight becomes an issue, I would probably look at a 15 in a plastic box, because there's going to be less weight, and there's some plastic companies out there that have the plastic 15s that can still give you a lot of sound pressure. So it's really going to depend on where you want to go. If you are not seeing yourself doing things where you're going to need a sub, the 15 weight's an issue, plastic. 15 wooden box would obviously be the best sound you're going to get out of a 15 two-way, but then you're also dealing with more weight. One thing Cubby had his one thing not to do. I'll have one of those too. I would not buy go to Amazon and you type in, you can go find a little array systems from Amazon for like $300 a piece. I would not buy those because I have had those come through, and you'll notice on our channel you aren't seeing many of those videos. You've seen a couple of videos here and there talking about some weird stuff, but a lot of those speakers, when they have come out here, there's no fans, there's no cooling, there's no ducts or fins on the back to keep the amp cool. It's like, how long is this going to last? That kind of stuff's unfortunately really common. So if you're going to buy, I would find a reputable brand and find, in essence, the best you can buy that's going to fit you for future needs.
Can I interject there for just
go
1
ahead.
second? And I'm not trying to knock you, John, but I'd also, whatever market you're in, if you're in a larger city market, you're not going to get some of the small schools, smaller schools, so 12s would never work. I mean, so you've also got to, like, what's the average size in your, like, Chicago weddings? Probably some are fairly large, right?
Yeah,
the schools are fairly large. You're not going to get a 100-person school, some like I get in Iowa, but also some larger schools in Iowa as well, the larger markets, Des Moines, but then also do smaller schools. So anyway, it all depends on what you're going after. If you're starting in, what are you looking for? What are you going after? Are you looking for the big schools, small schools? And I guess it all goes kind of in your business plan as well.
Very, very true. Yeah, and where you want to go is the big part of it, because otherwise you're throwing money away. And
too much if you went too big. If you went too small, then you don't have enough.
Okay, we're going to do one more question, and we're going to wrap it up, because after this, you guys will head out to DJNTV.com/chill with Hangout for Howie, and that'll be coming up in about 15 minutes. But we have one last question for tonight's show.